A webinar participant asked, how do we figure out how often a need or a pain point occurs when collecting a customer story? So if we're collecting a story and we hear about a pain point and we want to know how common is it, this is a little bit of a challenge. So what most people want to do is they want to ask the person, how often does that happen? The problem with this question is it is a speculative question that humans, all of us, are not very good at answering. We're not very good at on the fly summarizing our past behavior. We're good when prompted appropriately as telling a specific instance, but we're not very good at saying how often something happens. So for example, if you ask me what I ate for breakfast this morning, I can tell you what I ate for breakfast, right? If you ask me how often I eat that breakfast, I'm probably going to tell you almost every day because I do actually eat the same thing every day for breakfast. But if you asked me a harder question, like how often are there exceptions, I'm not going to be very good at answering that question. There are exceptions. There's exceptions when I travel. There's exceptions when I'm out of yogurt. There's exceptions when I wake up and just get bored of what I eat every day for breakfast. But the problem is I'm not very good, and it's not unique to me. All humans aren't very good at summarizing, at generalizing, at looking across our past behavior and saying, this is how often something happens. So what's the right way to get a sense for this? What I like to do is I like to collect a lot of individual stories and then look for patterns across those stories. So I might, for example, if I have time in an interview, collect multiple stories from the same person, and then I'm looking for patterns. So I could ask, what did you eat for breakfast yesterday? What did you eat for breakfast this morning? What did you eat for breakfast last Tuesday? I obviously can't go too far in the past because I'm going to run into memory issues, especially with something like, what did you eat? But if I collect multiple instances, I can start to see patterns. I'm going to start to hear exceptions. I can also collect stories across people. So if I start to collect dozens of stories, multiple stories from each person, and interviewing lots of different people, patterns will start to emerge. Now, the best way to do this is to start to understand this through quantitative data. Maybe we can identify how often a pain point occurs in our behavioral analytics. Maybe we can identify how often a pain point occurs through a diary study where we're asking people every day to tell us if it happened on that day. We don't want to do it in a survey where we're asking people how often in the past month. Again, we're not good at summarizing our behavior, but we could look at some longitudinal studies where we're asking people over time. A lot of product teams don't have time to do that, which makes this a particularly hard challenge. I think the vast majority of time, you can answer this question by collecting a lot of stories and then looking for patterns in those stories. All right, I hope that helps. If you're watching and you have found a good way to answer this question, how often does this happen? Share your best tips in the comments below. And if you're new to story-based interviewing, be sure to check out the interview guide linked above.